like a speeder. It's age dependent. How much you get in income, the older you are, the more you get. So I got a client that wants income now. They want to retire early. They're 63 years old. You look at the rate, you're going to pay them 5.8% for the rest of their life. $1 million, that's $58,000. 100 grand, that's $5,800. That's probably the most you're going to see on the street, period. You're not annuitizing. You're not in our general account. You're a standalone. You got a spouse that's equally the same age. We'll cover 2 incomes for 2 lives at 5.3%. Nobody does that right. So, case that we worked on, she was 62. He was 72. So, standalone, he would get 635. Concerned about his wife, he's taking RMDs. Remember how RMDs go up? So we know that over time he's going to have to take more than what we're going to guarantee, right? So, but she's 62. So we went and looked at a 62-year-old. Standalone on her life, she'd be 5.65%. But it's his IRA, right? So she can't buy. We can't base it on her life. So a spousal benefit at 62 is 5.15%. That's a bigger number than anybody's going to pay on the street with those kind of 2 age bands. So that disjunct. So made a lot of sense. So that's how we got that case. Definitely, if your clients are 70 and above, you know, you're just entering. You got money at the bank. It's a CD, and say it's 100 grand at 70 and a half. What's he doing? Taking money. He's dipping into the principal right away. If I can guarantee 6.2% guaranteed the rest of your life, that's a pretty big number. So, I've never written on an 85-year-old, but I do have a proposal out there today for, you know, it's a little over $200,000, 7.4%. Guy's in good health. You know, it is qualified money, so we're able to protect him from the RMDs. So I think what they had one guy on the news this morning. He's 112. You know, and they said, "What's the secret to living?" He goes, "Just keep living." And that was his tagline. There was a lady that died over last week. She was 114 in America, and she just passed. I mean, this stuff is happening. So, you know, the guy that was 112, he looks pretty good. So, so as you can see here, I mean, you got life insurance. Yeah.
No question. So for that 62 and 72-year-old couple, so the husband got the 6.35 and then she got the 5.15?
No, we're going to take the youngest of the two.
Okay.
So if he did it standalone, you know, yeah, he's going to get more.
Okay.
But he really wanted to accommodate his wife.
So they both got the 5.15?
They're going to get the 5.15.
Okay.
It's his name on it. She's the beneficiary. She steps up. She becomes the owner when he passes. And if there's no money left in the account, what happens? Believe it or not, this is a confusion point for everybody. You go to zero on these accounts, we call you, and we send a letter out, and we say, just show us proof of life, and you get your next paycheck. That's it. And you still get it until we can't verify that anymore. And then basically, that's it. You know, so it is a lifetime benefit, regardless of how this thing plays out. Then it becomes really annuitization, right? Then it really looks like a pension, but you had control of the cash all along the way. And you just think about the concept. 7 years later, you got a surrender charge that disappears. So after 7 years, life expectancy changes for you, and you know your 500,000 is worth 450. Taking a few years of income, what can you do with it? You can take it. I mean, if you were in a pension and things changed for you over a short period of time, you didn't have that opportunity. So.
Judge, I have a question.
Yeah.
With the RMD increase, is that a standard percentage across the industry, or does it vary from company to company?
No, it's a standard. It's an IRS number.
Okay.
So that's why we built these things to be RMD friendly, because we all have to work with the same factor. And if you ever, I have some marketing pieces that actually lay out the percentages. So I'm going to do a couple of quick case studies here, but you know, I've showed this one to you guys before, but since we've raised the rates, the numbers are a little bit more impactful, if you will. 800,000 rounded up to $1 million. I want you to think about this. You know, she's 67 years old. She's entertaining an account with Merrill Lynch, and then she's entertaining an account with the rep I work with. So at this point, he's promising, I can do this in a managed account, I can do that in a managed account, I got a lot of flexibility control, use alternatives, and I'm going to be able to get you pretty much a pretty good income number. Now, what we did was 6.1%, could he provide 6.1% in income day one
No.
for the rest of her life and kind of feel confident about it? She's 67 years old, we got a long way to go. Now, the intention was to maximize all the other factors that are gonna be involved here, which is one of which is Social Security. So every year she waits, her Social Security payment's gonna go up 8%. Now, in this particular investment, we're gonna go up by 5. So, so that's 5% compounded, not simple. So 5% compounded on 61,000, 3 years later is 70,615. It's a $10,000 increase. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat in the beginning. I mean, it's double what he really should be assuming, which is about 3%. So, all things being equal, it's just about cash flow. So, she would need $2 million to assume 3% to get the same equivalent income. So, you can say, well, I can do it with less than half, get the same effects. But just kind of doing the numbers here, I wouldn't sell an annuity without doing the math in front of a client. Because if you went down the street to Merrill Lynch, Edward Jones, I don't care who you go to, and they say the annuity, because they always say, why are you looking at an annuity? Well, somebody wants to sell it to you because they want to make a commission. That's not true. These things do things that they can't do independently. So we make promises they can't keep. So if you took 70,615, divided that by 0.04, you need $1.76 million 3 years later in that account just to get to assume 4%, not guarantee it, and it's all on you. So you're absorbing the risk all on yourself. If we took it to a realistic number of 0.03 and you divide it out, it's $2.3 million. I always go, possible? Yes. Probable? No. It's just not going to happen. I mean, at this stage of the game where we are in this market risk cycle, we're not going to get another double in 3 years. It's just not going to happen. So this is where you're in that retirement red zone, the 5 years before, 5 years after. We can't afford a lot of mistakes and missteps. So that's defined income. So, and here's the other one I did. Most people are buying it, basically they're in their 60s. They don't know whether they're going to wait 1, 2, 3, or 5 years, wait till 70. I ran it for 5 years, basically $60,000 today. 5 years at 5%, that's another, basically $16,000 in income per year. If we divide it by 0.04, over that 5-year period, 5 years before retirement, you'd have to more than double the asset. I mean, that's 20% per year. You just put the numbers to it. The math is incredible. I'll leave you with this. So that's good income now. I'm gonna show you this number is more important than that number. So let me kind of flip forward here. So here's what I did. I took what was on the street at the moment, and top is $100,000 with us, 5.5% compounded roll-up, 5.5% payout. So, and then I took the next one was 7 simple, $100,000, 5% payout. That would be the highest on the street from a simple standpoint. 6 simple, I mean, obviously it's less than 7, but most companies are 6 simple. One company changed their roll-up rate from 5 compounded to 6 simple, which over a 10-year period is less than 6 simple. They're de-risking. So, but it sounds like they're increasing their rates, right? So, so let's just focus on the top 3, and then I'll comment on the bottom one. Over a 5-year period, 5.5% compounded, my roll-up rate's $130,000. 7 simple, 135. What would you rather have?
135.
Right. And then 6, obviously 130. It's equivalent to our 5.5. So 5.5 compounded. Now, if you were to take a payment at that point, well, with the 5.5% distribution, 7188 would be us, because it's 5.5 on the total number. 5% on this, basically 6,750, and then if it's 6 simple, 6,500. Now the only one that, so on the surface when you present from a client, you want 6, 5, or 1.5, or 7. They'll say 7. But if they don't understand the math on the back end, it doesn't work. It's, what's the objective here? To get the biggest cash flow, right?
Yeah.
So Now, the other one on the street that comes with a little, some more restrictions, they decreased their payout rate. They increased their roll-up rate to 7.2%. So over a 10-year period, what happens?
Doubles.
Doubles, right? They're going to give you 5%. So if you go 5 years in, you're basically your annual payment at that point, if you started the income, is $7,078. Is that better than that number? So, given the option, if the client didn't understand the math on the back end, you know, so very few companies are in the compounded stage. Now they will beat us at 7 or 8 years out, but we're going to maintain. This is a case that I've showed you guys this before. We got in 2011 of 16. It took 5 weeks to lose 11%. This year it took 5 days to lose 11%. Different markets, different time, different outcomes. The math is the math. $500,000 goes in. If you just look at the end result, and this is as of 12, or I should say 2/28 of 18. This particular investment, contract value is 661, guarantee is 696. See how that line came down pretty quickly? Peak of the market was 126 of this year. Peak of this portfolio was 126. Last year did 1865. First 3 weeks of this year, net of all fees, did 5.7%. We didn't even hit the anniversary. We didn't even hit the end of the month, and we lost all that. It just takes a couple days. So now, if it was in that program that was 7.2%, your guarantee was 10% lighter because they didn't lock in every day. They only lock in on the month. So anything else that we've talked about was the anniversaries. So think about all that return that was lost. So it daily makes a difference. And the most important thing, if you guys walk away with anything, that guarantee for you guys, and I think about you guys more importantly, sometimes you guys inherit your piece of business and things like that, and then you know, you guys are out gathering assets. You don't have time to sit there and watch each guarantee and the vesting of the anniversary and everything else. The fact that this does it daily lets you set it, forget it, and then come back to it. I don't know what to tell you on that one. I mean, I personally, I think if I was managing a block of business and I'm accumulating, I want things like this to make my life easier. So,
Yeah.
You had a question, and I'm kind of done for you.
Yeah.
Compounding for how many years?
Up to 10, and then after that it's daily in accumulation. So you can take the rider off and then reset the 10 years. So the big benefit for us in just recent months here, contracts that have been in play for the last 2 or 3 years, market's been good. We've taken the rider off, reapplied with the higher rates, we got a whole another 10 years.
So we can take off the rider and put on that.
You can put the rider on back 90 days later and you get another 10 years. Now everybody gets the new rates, so things I wrote 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they were 5 and 5. Now they're 5.5 and 5.5. It's not a bad deal, is it? So we didn't raise the cost. My time is up.
So right, so you did a great job. Thank you. Appreciate it. If they want to reach you, you have your, well, we can make sure that we,
Yeah.
if you need his information, we get it
What's
to
your
you.
number?
You can call the 800 number, 800-628-6039, and you can ask for George LaVenture. It'll go into my voicemail. I check it every day. Sometimes it's the second day. And then Brett Griffith is my internal, so you can hit 0, and you can speak with him directly.
Want to repeat that one more time for us? Just one more time.
800-628-6039. George LaVenture.
Thank you.
Brett Griffith is the brains behind the operation, and he's there for you guys. So
Thank
please
you,
call
George.
him.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you very much. The one thing I want to just point out to all of you,